Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CEDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll discuss the Commander Brackets Beta.
It's an interesting thing that's happening. I kind of feel like it might be some soft bans, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, before we get into it, let's go into the Shuffle Up. We have had a bunch of new comments. Thank you so much. I know we didn't have any last time, and I feel like you guys heard that and we're like, better get in there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
On our upcoming CDH Commanders from Aetherdrift video, Patrick Owens, tried and true, says Redshift for the win, grow life forever. You can add Flame Wave Invoker and Balls Invoker as mana outlets for infinite mana. Bolt Bender gets around split second, help deal with Hashaton. Also, anything that can stop ETB effects can slow him down. Bolt Bender is a card that I think you disguise. So as a free action, you can flip it up and it redirects something, but it gets around split second. So like when we were talking about split second, since it's a free action that doesn't like use the stack, you can just do it at any time.
That's a pretty cool tech to do.
Yeah.
I don't think split second is that dominant in CEDH. There's a few of them.
Yeah, I've been playing Hashaton quite a bit. And I was I think in that last episode, I was like worried about it. But the more I've played it, the more I'm like, it's slow enough for CDH. Like you do have those God hands where you like, get a Jenga Taxis out turn one. But I mean, you could Thassa combo turn one in any Esper deck too. So
very true. I think Hashaton is just in general good stuff, like good value when you do it. So I don't think it necessarily needs that split second combo.
Yeah, I did have that combo in, but Angel's Grace was just kind of a dead card. And the more I played with it, there were times where I could go like, I could win right now, but let me wait and I can do the split second. And I was just like, I just want to win right now. Like I'm pretty sure if anybody makes me draw, like it's a gamble I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
Kevin Sanders 588 says, while I don't quite play CDH, I do love listening you guys. I cater your info for my high power play. My pod plays casual and then high power sometimes. All that being said, Hashton is broken. So good. One of my fave commanders I have put together in a while. My Yuriko deck is by far my strongest and closest to CDH deck. But Hashton gives it a run for its money. It's really saying something, I think. Yeah, like it's pretty crazy to have a CDH deck where you're like, I have a Jenga Taxis, Elish Norn, Astral Dragon, like all those big like toolbox cards.
Even Esper.
Yeah.
Like dropping an Esper for 4/4.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, all the little ones like Polywog Prodigy, a 4/4, like it's fun. I like it. I've had a hard time balancing it where like there's some times where I just want to drop the big things for fun and I'm just like, no. Like you're playing to win. This is a tournament here. And like don't just lulls drop 6 Elish Norns, which happened.
That's awesome.
How many did we had at least 4, and then I was showing that I could put Astral Dragon out and copy it twice. And I think everybody was just like, this guy that's winning on the stack on your turn, like we'll show we can stop him, but like we're done. This was in a fun game after the tournament.
Yeah, that game was also it also started out stacksy and kind of ended up a slog. So
yeah,
I was with it. I think I showed 3 counters.
Yeah,
I was like, I could stop this now, but you're good, man. Go ahead.
Big Sill 9922 says +1 for new episode. Also love some Captain Howler, which I'm loving in CDH, mostly in high power. He looks fun. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, he looks fun. And then I was looking at the comment. I said, he looks fun. I didn't realize Howler's ability is just target creature, so you can get draws off your opponent's attackers. And then Big Sill said, yeah, making instant speed discards more useful as a politicking tool in some cases. Even if someone else wheels, here you go, +14 to hurt the ad novice player. I've seen Captain Howler. I don't think it'll be like tournament CDH really, which like tournament
There's
CDH and CDH being different things is kind of done in the brackets, which is nice. So like
yeah, and also, there's only a handful of them that really go to that higher tournament play, so,
yeah.
you know
CDH Network says, that Redshift list looks very familiar. Glad you guys saw my vision. Yes. So I copy the decks literally just for the land base because like putting 28 lands over and over and over how much I build them, I get real sick of it. But yeah, we went back and forth a little bit about all of our adjustments and everything, and I think both lists are looking like really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Redshift is like Cardboard
yeah,
Goblin.
just ugh.
I'm going.
Yeah, I put a Beast Rider Vanguard in there, the one that we were just like, this is great. But whenever I looked at Patrick Owen's comment, I was just like, well, maybe I don't care about getting all my permanents to my hand if I could just kill everybody with infinite ability mana. So I might be tooling that one a little bit. I don't think I'll build that one just because I'm liking Hashaton so much, but like I'm sure they'll get to a point where I'm just like, I want to proxy like 2 or 3 decks. Like who wants to jump in on a proxy order so that we can get them cheaper?
Yeah, I'd be down because I'm kind of curious on some changes I've been looking at with Blue Farm as well.
Yeah, it's nice because like there'll be some people that they'll like kind of be watching our game and somebody wants to jump out and we'll just be like, we have a proxy deck if you want to try CDH, and they'll be like, oh yeah, like what is it? Like
Yeah, I usually carry Evelyn
yeah, yeah.
with me. I used to carry Blue Farm, but once the bans happened, I just stopped carrying that deck.
Yeah, that's I did the same thing with a lot of decks where they were kind of just play decks, and then the bans happened. I was like, I don't want to go in and retool these. Like they're together, but they're on a shelf now. So
I feel like also the shift in CEDH over the last like few months has been kind of, I wouldn't say like game changing because it's really the same game, but some of the decks that had tech before, there's way better tech now than there was previously. Just in the flares, like you could use the flares,
oh yeah,
for one example.
I mean MH3, we definitely were like, this is gonna change. Like,
Yeah,
and I mean as it should. Like Modern Horizons, like that's what Esper Sentinel came out of. So,
yeah.
well, the second one is what Esper Sentinel came out of. Cool, cool. And then just to remind everybody, we do have our link tree. On our link tree, you can find everything related to us. It's always in the description on the podcast or the YouTube video. It has a link to all of our podcasts if you want to listen on maybe like a different platform. Most everybody's just listening on Apple. So if you're listening on Apple right now, I see
I think you should listen to two
you.
different ones at the same time.
Yep, that'd be pretty cool. We also have a Discord that we're starting up. Not too much activity in there right now. There's like 5 people in it, but if I see anything cool as far as releases, I usually put them in there. And then we've been kind of slammed with tournaments. This
You guys.
podcast we're literally fitting in the night before we leave for a tournament, and I'm gonna edit it tonight and get it up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not looking forward to that because I'm gonna be up till probably like midnight, but that's okay. But yeah, link to our Discord if you want to join that. We will start doing spell table nights. Probably we'll ask everybody when's the best for them as far as everybody in the Discord, but just random spell table probably. So if you guys want to play with us, more than welcome to jump in. We also did a collab with Smooth Brain EDH. I know this is probably like the 4th time you're hearing it, but
Over multiple.
yeah, it's a really it's a really good video. I've watched it. I'd say over 10 times at this
Yeah,
point.
same. It was a fun game. Those guys are really, really awesome guys.
And then we have our TCG player affiliate link. I'm pretty sure at this point with Ether Drift, you've really figured out like, okay, these are the cards I want. If you are picking up those cards after you listen to the podcast, please use our link. It's completely free for you. Just lets TCG player know that we sent you, and it helps support the channel quite a bit. And then if you just don't buy cards and you just like listening to us and you're like, I'm gonna buy those guys a pack, Ko-Fi is a great way to do that. And then if you just want to keep in contact with us, we have all of our social medias there and our Patreon, which is in progress. Nothing yet, but we want to make sure that when we start it, it's definitely worth, the couple dollars extra a month. So still working on that. Coming soon.
Yep.
And then lastly, just wanted to thank you guys for everything, listening, all of that. The podcast hit 3,000 views this morning.
3,000.
Yeah, which is
That's
a
crazy,
lot.
guys.
Yeah. Was really, really cool to see that. And we've got a lot of people listening in a whole bunch of different countries too. Germany is our second most listened to country with like 30 people a month, which is really
Oh,
cool.
wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And like all over Germany, not just like one place. Ukraine too. We got a lot of people in Ukraine listening, which I thought was really cool. I went through the country list and I was just like, this is cool. Like somebody in Japan listened to like 4 or 5 episodes. So if that's you, thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
for sure. Put a
yeah.
comment. Be like, that was me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we have plugged ourselves enough. So let's go ahead and get into the commander brackets. This will be up on YouTube with a visual as always. It's literally just the commander brackets and the game changers, just so that you can follow along. It's literally taken from the commander brackets beta article that MTG put out. If you don't want to read the article and you just want to listen to our take on it, that's what this podcast is about. So
Or if you didn't catch all of it, because sometimes there can be a lot of stuff in it,
it
and
was,
then, I'm sure we'll miss something, but somebody else may pick it up too, and so it's
yeah.
just we're all kinda in it together here.
I was about to say something stupid. I was like, it was a long YouTube video. It was like an hour long. And I'm just like, we're probably gonna do an hour and a half on it. Cool. So to kind of just get started, the commander brackets were something that I think in October, Gavin Verhey announced and said that he wanted to do that because he thought that the power level system was just kind of meaningless, which I mean, I agree. Like,
Agreed,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I would, some people would be like, oh, my deck's a 9. And then I would play them and then I'd beat them. They're like, well, that's not fair. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
and pretty much everybody that said that they played casual commander said that their deck was a 7. And then everybody that didn't play CDH but played high power, they were like, "Oh, my deck's a 9." And then everybody that played CDH was just like, I don't use the system, but I'd say it's a 10." Yeah.
I I'm in that group,
Yeah.
and I have that mindset. I was gonna try to figure out where to put that in there. Like, this thing is I guess if you're playing casual, this is good. I get it'll definitely separate some of the decks, but even to me, 4 and 5 kinda seems the same almost.
Yeah. I mean, really at the end of the day, they were just like 5 is CDH and like we're not going to use the brackets really at all. But it was one of those things that I kind of wanted to go over because I know people kind of dabble in like CDH and then some of their friends that might not be as good as Magic want to play and they're like, oh, okay, I'll bring my, Popper deck, for example, out and then we can play with that and then we'll smash our action figures together for a night like because I
Yeah.
miss hanging out with you. Yeah. So the commander brackets are 1 through 5. One is called Exhibition, and the description of that is your ultra casual commander deck. In order to be in this bracket, no mass land denial or extra turns, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, and few tutors. So with bracket 1, basically that is winning is not your primary goal. You're just kind of showing off your skills as like a deck builder and you had a theme for most things. So like I've played against somebody that was just like, oh, my commander is books, like they had a mono blue deck, and I think it was like some librarian as the commander or something like that.
Mm.
And every single card in their deck had to have books in the art. Or one of our friends has a green white cat deck that's just like cats and then the cutest possible like instant or sorceries and like, stuff like that. Um I would say that I mean the cat deck you could argue is not a one because it's pretty good. Like there's a pretty good commander, like tribal or typal commander on that. But really one's just supposed to be like, I know that this isn't competitive. I know that like this deck is probably never gonna win. I know that a precon can beat this deck, but like it's fun. So I want to show you guys.
Or it's like I had these cards and I want to go to the Friday Night Magic and just kind
Yeah.
of sit with you guys.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's kind of what precons are. Like yeah.
That's why I don't understand 1 to 2 because
I get the point of one. One is for like I don't think every group has this person, but like there are some people that just like having like a certain theme. Like I remember I played somebody once that like their goal in the deck was like Wizard of Oz or something like that. Yeah, and like they had like scarecrows and like the whole thing was like basically just supposed to be like they were playing out the journey of Wizard of Oz over like the turns and
Mm.
it didn't win. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of those like chaos I think like those chaos decks would be a one where it's just like yeah I play Norin the Wary and it's just chaos. Like no one gets to do anything like
Well, I don't even know about that because it can't have any game changers, which, I'm sure there's a lot of game changers that would.
oh for red. Yeah, red just has Jessica's. We'll go over that, but yeah, I mean, really in red, like you can have a mono red exhibition deck very easily. Like just don't put in Jessica's will. But yeah, like if you've ever had somebody show up and they're just like, oh yeah, my deck is just chaos. Like they should be calling their deck a one and then avoid those people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's any perfect system, but having something is better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, and all of these are like no mass land denial. Mass land denial is of course like land destruction or like things like Blood Moon or like Winter Moon where like you get to have your lands but they stay tapped or you can't tap them for the color that you want. Like something that just locks you out of playing the game.
I think they have one that turns them into that they only tap for black, and I
Yeah.
think there's also one that turns them all to islands.
There's also I think Hall of Gemstones at the beginning of your turn. You say what color all lands tap for.
Silly.
Yeah. It's I don't I guess I would count that, but yeah. 2 is core, the average current pre-constructed deck. So no mass land denial, no chaining extra turns, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, few tutors. I mean it's pretty much the same as 1, just no chaining extra turns is an extra bullet point instead of combined.
Mm.
But 2 is more like you're actually trying to win. Bracket 2 decks may not have every perfect card. They have potential for big splashy turns. Strong engines are built in a way that works towards winning the game. While the game is unlikely to end out of nowhere and generally goes 9 or more turns, you can expect big swings. But those still don't allow cards from the game changer list, and we'll go over those later.
Yeah. Again, I think it's a soft ban.
Yeah. Oh, they even said that like if we are going to ban cards, we are going to try to put them on this list first
To see.
and see it as kind of a trial. So like these things don't just get banned out of nowhere.
Ah,
But they were also like, like spoiler alert, Gaia's Cradle's on there, and they're like, well, don't go sell your Gaia's Cradle because you feel like it's going to get banned. Like the whole point of it is to say like these are the cards that are, I guess, a problem in Commander, and like some of them we know are a problem, and they're okay for higher play. And then some of them we know that they're a problem, and maybe next time we would do bans. But I think they even said that the next time the bans come up, they're only looking at unbans, no new bans.
Oh, okay.
So like I don't think we have to worry about any of those yet.
That's
Um
interesting.
3 for the commander bracket is upgraded. So beyond the strength of an average precon deck, no mass land denial, no chaining extra turns, late game 2-card infinite combos possible, and they can have up to 3 game changers. And whenever they said late game 2-card infinite combos,
6
nothing that can happen cheaply in about the first 6 or so turns of the game.
Yeah, I thought like sanguine, exquisite
Yeah.
combo, or something to that effect.
It's like it's interesting to see like beyond the strength of an average precon deck, because I'm just like, well, Dockside Extortionist was
Came in
in
a precon.
two different precons, I thought. And then like um Markov Vampires was a precon by itself, you know. Uh and then we get to 4 and 5, and that's where most of the people that are listening to this podcast probably play.
Probably play. Yeah.
Um, so just as a spoiler alert, 4 and 5 exactly the same rules. It's just your intention. So 4 is called optimized. High power commander, it's time to go wild. No restrictions other than the ban list. And then 5, CDH, high power with a very competitive and metagame focused mindset. No restrictions other than the ban list. Um, in my mind, and this is probably going to be different to several other players. If you don't play tournaments and you aren't building your deck in mind to top on tournaments, you're just like, I want to build a really good deck that'll whip up on spell table or whip up in my group. But I'm going to have like all the staples. That is optimized. And then CDH is kind of where the tournament CDH was, where it's okay, it's high power, very competitive. I'm trying to win as quickly as possible.
Within the first 3 or 4. Yeah.
And I also know that like I'm going to have to stop a Rogsai. I'm going to have to deal with um Ristic Studies or Smothering Ties, stuff like that. Like you build around the cards that you know are like in there all the time. So kind of just going over the article. Bracket 4 optimized, bring out your strongest decks and cards. You can expect to see explosive starts, strong tutors, cheap combos that end games, mass land destructions if you want. The focus here is on bringing the best version of the deck you want to play, but not one built around a tournament metagame. So I think currently, and this might be a little bit controversial, but like if you're not ending a game in 20 minutes, because like tournaments are 80 minutes. So if you're thinking, well, there's 4 people, this deck needs to close in 20 minutes. If you're not building a deck that will close in that 20-minute window of like tournaments, you're probably in bracket 4. And then bracket 5 is like in 80 minutes, I better win. So like bracket 4 would be more like this deck is really strong. It can duke it out and it will win eventually. And bracket 5 would be this deck just tries to go like right away.
Well, also like I think that you could easily build a 4 and it turn into a 5
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Like I think most of them start at around 4 when you're first starting into competitive, and then you kind of build into 5. But I think that any deck I build now is pretty much just 5.
Yeah. I mean, CDH or competitive commander and similar names is where winning matters more than self expression. You might not be playing your favorite cards or commanders, as pet cards are usually placed with cards needed in the meta, but you're playing what you think will be most likely to win. So, like, lots of politicking, negotiation, um, playing in a tournament structure is really what they highlight on CDH.
I think that it's such a crazy like road going through all these tournaments and stuff. And maybe we'll do a video about that later on, but like the the ghost now opposed to the ghost back then is a lot different in what I would do. Because like before I'd be like, I need to counter the first win attempt.
Yeah.
And now it's like I don't, if you do it, I have a counter, but if nobody else is gonna counter it, like I'm
Yeah.
done. Like
It's like if we can all agree to a tie, yeah, you know,
yeah,
like,
it's over, yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, I didn't mean to go off subject, but
No, I
I
mean,
was just reading when you were I was listening to you read through it, and I was like, that does kinda sound like our progression.
yeah. I mean, even when we do like just for fun games, the game state will get to a point where it's just like when we were playing with those 4 Elish Norns out, where we're like, this would be a tie. So like at any point, I'm cool shuffling up. Like, can anybody play through this in their next turn? You can. Okay, cool. Like, let's get to your turn. You try. We'll all clap. Probably counter you, and then can we shuffle up after?
Mm.
uh, let's move on to the game changers. So the game changers are supposed to be cards that dramatically warp commander games, allowing a player to run away with resources or shift games in ways that many players dislike, block people from play, or efficiently search for their strongest cards. In addition to that function, you can imagine the game changers as sort of a watch list. Any future bans are likely to come from this list, save for maybe something that shows up in a new set and immediately causes problems, like Nadu. Rest in peace, my boy. Similarly, unbanned cards are likely to end up here. This creates a nice half step between the ban list and showing up everywhere. It also helps us ensure that you know what cards we have our eyes on, so cards don't feel like they're banned out of nowhere in the future. It also gives us a tool to unban cards to try them or nudge around cards without ban needed. Um, and then they do say, to be clear, most of these cards are unlikely to be banned. You shouldn't go trading away your Gaia's Cradle and Concern. And then they tried to make the list exactly 40 cards. And like, in my mind, there's some things that should be on here that aren't.
Yeah, I agree. There's also some things that probably shouldn't be on this list at
Yeah.
all.
And if you're watching on YouTube, we have them up now, but I'll go ahead and name all of them. So with white, we have Dranth Magistrate, Enlightened Tutor, Sarah's Sanctum, Smothering Tithe, and Trouble in Pairs. Blue, we have Cyclonic Rift, Expropriate, Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study, Thassa's Oracle, Urza, Lord High Artificer, Mystical Tutor, Jingataxis Core Arger, which is
This is
in
ludicrous.
yeah. Well,
I,
I mean, it is in Hashaton, but like it's 10 mana. Like,
well, expropriate, like,
yeah, I mean, we had a friend that played that as like their signature card for a while, and I will say like it once he cast it, it did.
oh, it wins, but
But yeah, but it's like once he cast it and it resolved.
I mean, yeah, but silly.
Yeah. Black has Bolus's Citadel, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, Opposition Agent,
Turgid.
Turgrid, God of Fright, Vampiric Tutor, Adnaz. Red just has Jessica's Will and Underworld Reach.
Poor red.
Green has Survival of the Fittest, Vorinclex, Voice of
Yeah, that's
Hunger,
crazy.
and Gaia's Cradle. Multicolor, Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy, Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow, Winota, Joiner of Forces, Grand Arbiter, Augustine the Fourth, Colorless, Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, the One Ring, Tabernacle,
I mean,
Trinisphere,
Trinity.
Grim Monolith, Lion's Eye Diamond, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, Glacial Chasm. Glacial Chasm, I understand, because this is not really a like CDH ban watch list. It's a what precons and upgraded precons don't want to deal with, really. And Glacial Chasm, I will say, like, somebody that just literally can't die over and over and over is kind of annoying. So like,
Yeah, I agree.
and like I kind of get that from like I guess Vorinclex Voice of Hunger too, but like it was kind of interesting because in our like little group, we were talking about a certain commander, and I was like, well, this commander could be like a pretty good casual food chain deck. And then somebody was just like, oh, well, food chain is never going to be a casual deck. And I was like, but it's not in the game changers.
It's
So,
not there, yeah.
it only can be a casual.
As long as you don't have Vorinclex, you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, I think the mindset is still quite far off for people that aren't playing CEDH, because some of these are like, I don't. Again, I guess it's not tailored only to CEDH, but
I mean, poor Red, Jessica's Will and Underworld Breach. Like they didn't even get Gamble. Like,
yeah, and Gamble's crazy.
yeah.
What's another good one? There's the Flare. The Flare is pretty good.
Intuition.
And
Intuition is not on this list.
that's insane.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was trying to think of that name. And the other thing, like in colorless, City of Traders, not on there.
Not on there.
Tabernacle, like I don't get why they don't just ban Tabernacle. Like it's it's a $10,000 card, so like you're not putting it in your deck unless you're proxying it. And then like you have Tabernacle in you're saying Tabernacle is one of 40 worst cards in the format.
It's crazy.
And it's a $10,000 card that like I've seen in person once signed. Like,
Turgrid.
Yeah, Turgrid. Another one where it's like, all right. I mean, even Bolas Citadel was kind of there for me, where I was just like,
I mean, I get
a 5-cost artifact is a problem. Like,
is it 5? It might be more than that.
I thought it was 3 black.
Maybe.
Let me see.
I thought it was 6, to be honest. I could be wrong.
Oh no, you're right. It's 3 black.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only play it in Crick, so I was just like, I know it's a 3 and then life.
Whatever it is, yeah. Yeah, that's I get it, I guess. And I couldn't even tell you, and y'all don't judge me, but I couldn't even tell you what Sarah Sanctum is.
It's the white land that taps for every enchantment you have out. So like
Okay.
I run
I've
it in
seen it,
TNT right now, and it was really ridiculous. And not Evelyn, Elvery, the stacks commander that swings.
yeah.
Like it was crazy in both of those. So like I get that. 40 craziest cards, maybe not. Maybe. I mean, Trouble in Pairs, like what? Like I remember that card was like a spicy include if you didn't have blue and you wanted a like Ristic Study type effect. But I didn't know Trouble in Pairs was like causing a problem. And it's kind of weird to me that they're like, well, we don't want any decks that run multiple turns in 1 or 2, but we're going to ban the card that stops multiple or not ban, but soft ban it away from 1, 2, or 3. So like if you're just running it as tech to stop somebody that's doing multiple turns, because like you don't want to play against somebody that just takes a whole bunch of turns. You can't now because it's on the game changer list.
I mean, Remora isn't on there, right?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
And it's arguably better than Ristic Study in some cases.
Yeah. I guess because it's like
not
temporary, like it's kind of ethereal where, yeah, this came down, but like I'm probably only going to have to deal with it for 2 or 3 turns.
There's no kitten.
Yeah. I don't really think kitten's a problem in casual play, though. I mean, is kitten a bigger problem than expropriate? Yeah,
100%. Or
Urza, Lord High Artificer. Like it's
Urza's
weird that
good, but
I mean, a lot of these just seem that they're like trying to do like a band as commander type of system where they're like, we don't want these as commanders in or 2.
That makes more sense. I
And
could see it that way.
yeah, and then maybe like in upgraded, you can have 3 game changers and like you could have an upgraded Urza Lord High Officer or like an upgraded Yuriko. Like I don't it's interesting that like if you play Yuriko, you're immediately in 4 and 5, pretty much. Like you could say like, well, this is a 3 because all I have is Yuriko and
Force of will
wrist
is
Ristic Study and Force of Will, and then they'd be like, no, like you're a 4.
yeah.
Like I feel like these are kind of just the ones that seem a little off are just banned as commander, and then like I just 100% don't get
I didn't get
Vorin Click's Voice of Hunter and then Jink Attacks. It's like, yeah, if those come out, like they're annoying, but I mean, if somebody gets a 10 cost creature out, isn't it okay that the game ends at that point?
yeah. I mean, even even so, like Vorinclex he's a lot. That's the one with the lands, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to deal with, but even then, you're still playing around it. Like,
And like I completely get that. Like, yeah, so your stuff is doubled. It's 8 mana. Your stuff is doubled, and then your opponent's lands don't untap on their next untap step. So like I get, and like what I kind of try to keep in mind is if I was playing 1 and 2, I wouldn't want to see either of those come up. Like if somebody got them out onto the field, I'd be like, what? But like reanimate,
it's not on
not
there.
on here. So like in a 1, well, not really 1 because they kind of cover that with
There's no necro.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
like no necropotence. Yeah, but like in a 1, and I feel like they kind of cover this problem in like defining a 1 where like you can't you should not be reanimating a big giant creature and then hitting everybody with it. Like that's not in the spirit of what a 1 is. But like you do it on a 2. That'd be kind of fine. You
You're
could
good.
you could entomb, reanimate. You could be playing Crick in a 2. And all you're playing with is Entomb, Reanimate, and Razaketh.
It's crazy. There's no
It's like
what's
few tutors. I only have one. It's Razaketh.
what's the dragon or the zombie? What is the black tutor thing that comes out? A lot of people saw and half it.
Oh, and you can convoke.
I can't think
I
of it.
know the name of it, and just like
Going blank.
Broodlord.
Broodlord.
Yeah.
I was about to say, put it in the comments, and I
Yeah.
promise that it's not me just trying to get y'all to comment. Like,
Wait, I forgot. Please comment it.
it's like I don't remember.
Yeah, some of these, like I will say, I get Turgrid, I get Urza, I get Kid and Yurika Winona.
Grand Arbiter is kind of meh.
It's big bad at it's definitely big bad at casual because like our local game store, like if you mention Ground Arbiter, everybody's like, F that card.
That's the one that everything costs one extra
All of your stuff costs 1 less, and then
for a blue.
everybody else's costs 1 more, I believe.
Meh.
It's one of those things that I'll say reputation. Like somebody that's gonna put Grand Arbiter in a deck is like a bad person.
You're bad if you have that in your deck.
There's life decisions that brought you there. So like I get these are kind of banned as commander. I don't get expropriate, and I do understand that once expropriate is cast, it's pretty much the end of the game in a casual setting.
But come on, man.
Yeah, it,
Like,
I understand they don't want to run interaction in casual because they're like, I just want to do my thing.
but it's also like a 9 cost, right? Or like 7 or
A
something.
lot,
It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I just think that red is kind of crazy that somebody that designs commander cards was just like, yeah, there's 40 cards that are a problem, and 2 of them are red, and it'll be just because will an underworld breach, and we won't put Magda or deflecting SWAT in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Magda's cool. Deflecting's good. Gamble's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you do Magda as a 2, few tutors, the only one is in the command zone. You know? Yeah, it's just like, I have 1 tutor, it's Magda. I'm technically, Magda could be a 1 because the theme is dwarfs.
Yeah, you're just playing
Yeah,
dwarves.
you're playing a typal dwarf deck that
Is it
just wins the game with Portal to Phyrexia.
an unwinding clock? Isn't it unwinding clock that they use or no?
Yeah,
It's all dwarfs all the
yeah. I
time.
mean, like, the big plays are like Portal to Phyrexia, God Pharaoh's Throne, Unwinding Clock just goes infinite treasures, Clown Car. Like, it's all stuff. And I mean, there's always going to be those decks that, like, they're so specific in what they do, and like so many of the cards in there are like just completely like evoking the commander where they can't ever capture that. But like, well, I guess it couldn't be a 1 because your goal is not to win in a 1, so it would be by default a 2 because you're trying to win with Magda. So
I mean, it could just be for fun. You just want to tutor out these very specific cards.
yeah, you just want to tutor out all these terrible sax pieces and keep everybody there, and you're not, doing any land denial. Well, I guess you would be with a tripwire or whatever.
I think that the land denial kind of took away like from them having to put Blood Moon and those other things on
Yeah, I like just keeping that
because
very basic.
that
Like,
makes
yeah,
sense.
I mean,
But
Dranth Magistrate is also another weird choice. Like,
I think Dranith is very healthy for the format.
I personally have been taking Dranith out just because, like, in a tournament mindset, for the most part, I'm just like, if I drop Dranith, the only time I should summon Dranith is whenever I'm like, okay, I'm cool with a tie.
Yeah,
Like,
I get it.
and I mean, there are some times, like, there's times where I've gone fourth and I could get Dranith out turn 1, and I was just like, this is what I have to do to get back into the game. But at that point, I'm saying I'm cool with this being a tie, being in fourth seat, and if I end up winning because I make everybody go real slow, great.
There's no Rograth.
Yeah, a free commander is not a problem, apparently.
I just, I mean, some of them I get, I guess. Like I get the free spells, like the Chrome Mox and Mox Diamond. I don't understand the Vorinclex so much, and I don't understand that some of the red spells are just cool. Like
Yeah, I mean, I'd personally take Trouble in Pairs out and then put in Flare of Denial.
or deflecting.
Or I think Flare is kind of more of a problem,
Yeah.
specifically when you talk about Rockwrath, because it's free. Like, both are free.
Is it I thought it was duplication.
Yeah, Flare of Denial is blue.
This is the blue one. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
counter.
Yeah, that one I would not put on. I mean, Expropriate is.
It's silly. I mean, that
I
one instead of expropriate.
Yeah. I mean, I really. I know I keep saying this, but I get that they're trying to go for a, like, these are problems in casual play. Like, casual play people really don't like them, and sometimes it's literally just like this card. Like, I'd say Grand Arbiter is probably one of those. Like, this card has such a negative reputation that the card isn't really a huge problem in casual, but the how many people hate this card put it on the list.
That's probably why Kennan's there. I hate Kennan.
Yeah, I mean,
I
he's
think
he's he's broke though. Like, I will say, like, at no point do I look at Ken and go like, yeah, that shouldn't be on here. Like, Yuriko I kind of get too, because like Yuriko is, you wouldn't really want to sit down at a table and somebody say like, yeah, I'm a ninja tribal or typal 2, and then they just turn their commander over and it's Yuriko. Because
yeah.
Yuriko is like damage to everybody and draw, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, One Ring really should just get a ban. Tabernacle should just get a ban. Like, yeah.
I think that instead of Warrenclex, even the Vitality it's kind of going up
Oh,
there.
yeah, yeah.
You know, vitality wins games.
Yeah, but it's not a problem in casual play at all.
Maybe like
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of crazy that Grim Monolith is on there at all. Like, take Grim Monolith out, put in City of Traders, or like take Grim Monolith out, put in Soul Ring. You know, like Soul
yeah.
Ring is like so vital to the format that they'll never put it in here. Like I think they even did address like Soul Ring is the signature card of Commander. So like yeah, it's really strong, but
It's supposed to be.
at no point does someone just go, "Oh, you're playing a Soul Ring? That's BS. Like get out of my table." You know, like,
Yeah, I get it.
and if anybody does, then like they're a terrible person and shame on them.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the the black tutors are really good. I
Yeah.
get why all of them are on there. The trouble in pairs kind of is out of there a little bit.
I think Trouble in Pairs is the spiciest one for me on here. And then the spiciest card that's not included is Deflecting SWAT for me. I mean, it's just looking at because I'm looking at red and it only has two. I mean, green, you could even say that's the same two because they just have three and Food Chain isn't on here.
And Gaia's Cradle's technically not green.
That's true. It is colorless. No,
Well,
you have to put it
has green.
has to be in a green deck.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
Let's do a fun game. So if you guys are listening this podcast or you're on the YouTubes or any of that, you guys should put the card that you think should go on here the most and the card that you think just does not deserve to be on here. That's kind of like strange.
I mean, we didn't even talk about Trinisphere.
I get Trinisphere.
I mean, it's annoying.
It's annoying in a I don't want to play against a Trinisphere in a 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, I can guess.
Yeah, like there's definitely cards on here that I understand are just like these people will want to punch you if you have a 1, 2, or 3 and you put this in. Like
I
unless it's
yeah,
Food Chain Squee, totally cool.
yeah, that's good.
I mean, pretty much this entire list, for the most part, I would miss Jessica's Will, but for the most part, I could just be playing Atali and be fine. Underworld Breach, I did have an Atali, but it was completely just a like value breach. Like I would just play it and be like, all right, let me get back all of my rituals. Like
Yeah, put it in the comments if you think that you agree, or if you think that another one should be banned. I I feel like this list is a little lackluster. But then again, I play CEDH, and this list is kind of irrelevant. Like
yeah, I'm really curious. Well, so the only way it's relevant to us is this is the
yeah,
pre-ban.
possible
Yeah.
bans. Yeah, I got you.
Otherwise, I would just be like, and here's all the game changers. I don't care. End of podcast. Like, seeing all of these, and like they said, like, don't worry about any of these getting banned right now. And I do think that by the time we get to another ban discussion, I'm pretty sure they guaranteed they'd only do unbans. So like, I want to see fast spawn put on here.
I mean, there's a few cards that they banned that were in that era, if that makes sense. Like they were at the time, people were just kind of playing the heck out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think coalition victory is what everybody kind of points to and is just like, why is this on the ban list? There's that colorless 5-color commander that they literally were like, we banned it because it's boring. Like
Oh yeah,
everybody was
yeah.
playing it. It's boring. Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to see it.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to have a 5-color commander that is colorless. So with any mana, you can just be like, yep, he's out. Like, you know?
I mean, yeah. I I think that they may add more to this soon, but I, I don't know if they'll do a whole lot of editing. Like I feel like,
Yeah, I think what's on here is on here, and if it ever, I think if anything is going to leave this list, it's going to be ban. Yeah,
oh, you think so?
yeah. Like
I could see that.
I think everything that's going to be on here is just on here forever. They said that they wanted to keep it a tight 40. I don't think that that's going to be possible if they're talking about unbanning cards. Like,
Well,
what do you take off of here outside of Trouble and Peers, where you're like, okay, this is cool for casual play. Yeah,
well, Wizards also makes a lot of oopsies. You know, they'll make a card and be like, "Oh man, that we probably shouldn't have done that."
I think Nadu is really the only one that they've done.
Recently, I mean,
I don't think that they. I mean, like, if you're talking about the demon guy that was lose 7 draw 7,
yeah, Gristlebrand was
he
one.
was banned in
Oh,
standard right when he
almost,
came
yeah,
out.
almost immediately.
Yeah, well, that's true, I guess, but I think that they banned him right away. I can't remember. I think he was just banned in modern and he was okay in standard, but he was banned in like commander right away too.
I feel like Commander wasn't as big of a thing at that point though
Yeah.
when he first came out.
I will say it's at least we're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just like,
Those
oh yeah,
banners,
Yatagarasu, like let's put this out, or like Jinzo that just stops all magic and or no, just trap spells in the game. Like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
we're
like,
good with it.
and then they'll see a tournament, they're like, yeah, that was a bad idea. Yeah, let's ban this, and
Let's
everybody's
not do
like,
that.
I made a Yata lock deck, or like I made a Jinzo lock deck. Like, what? They're like, yeah, just figure it out. Banned.
Build another one.
And then they're like, I guess you could have one. Be fine. You can have one. Oh no, 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 never mind, never mind. Ban. Like, I am kind of glad, like, kind of speaking of the Yu-Gi-Oh format, that they do kind of have a like limited ban list with the game changers, because like before it was on or off. Like there was no anything. It was, oh, Nadu is crazy in casual play, ban. And then everybody's in CDH is like, I thought he was okay. Well, everybody but you. But
Oh me, yeah, I
yeah.
don't like him. Well, I felt like you just fiddled your diddle a lot,
Yeah.
and I get it. That's what he did, but it was a strange. By no means did I think that it was needed to be banned. I just felt like it was better than a lot of commanders that have came out,
Yeah.
if that makes
I
sense.
mean, Kinnan for a while, I thought Kinnan needed to be banned. And then I kind of got where I was like, okay, Kinnan is like strong, but everybody looks at Kinnan and is just like, that's a problem. And 3 people are going to jump on Kinnan. And then also, let's say Kinnan goes off. How does Kinnan close? There's not a great answer for that. Like,
Yeah, no.
there's a lot of complicated like endurance loops and stuff like that. And like Kinnan gets there. I'm not saying he doesn't. It's just when Kinnan goes off, sometimes it's not at the end of the game. Like people will just be like, all right, well, Kinnan went off and like, yeah, I did like mammoth some stuff down, but guess I pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Next turn.
And it's like, oh man, you swords it. Dang. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Kennen Kennen is one of those decks that he's if unchecked at all, he's terrible, but a lot of decks are like that.
yeah,
So,
I'd say Winota is kind of the same. You don't see Winota at tournaments anymore. Like if someone plays Winota, usually the table kind of like looks and goes just like, okay, like we have a casual person. And then like there are some times where Winota just gets all of those triggers and you're like, I should not have ignored Winota. Like,
I feel like that against, Slicer.
yeah, yeah.
I feel and I don't wanna be mean about people that like Slicer. I think that those decks are needed in general. I just feel like when you sit down with a Slicer deck, the whole pot is like, "Well, we're in a mini game now."
Yeah. I will say with Slicer, the reason and like up until recently I didn't have a problem with it because I always ran food chains. I was like, yeah, give me Slicer. Like I love it. Like but now at least with well, I guess in blue I can just like chain a vapor 'em. But I mean I don't want to bust my chain or into the flood maw on a Slicer whenever there's like a Ristic study. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I it just kinda feels funky. Like, the whole game is a little bit weird
Yeah.
because it's no longer the meta CEDH move. It's a how do we so I'm gonna hit you, you're gonna hit me, we're gonna hit this person, and then we're gonna get back. And we're gonna try to just stop the slicer from doing some slicer crazy things before one of us dies.
Yeah.
Because Slicer 1v1, I think is really Slicer is really good in threes. Like if there's a three pod after you kill somebody.
Yeah. Then it's kind of like meh. Like
Yeah, it's like did he stacks up enough or did they stacks up enough to get through the slog? If
yeah.
they didn't, meh.
I will say that like the game changer list, I was watching this live, and when they said like we'll see this as a halfway between a ban list, but don't worry, we're not banning anything right now, I felt a little bit better. And I will say that I think that kind of changed the way I was looking at it. Like if I wipe that from my memory and I go, okay, well they're saying that Draft Magistrate could get banned in like 6 months, or like they're saying Op Agent could get banned in 6 months. Like it won't get banned this next time, but after that we might start popping some of these. Like
I I don't look at it as this is a definite ban thing. I think this is to appease some of the masses as far as the commander players in general.
yeah, I mean if you looked at this and told me in 3 months all of these are fine, but in 6 months 5 of these might get banned, I would be like,
Holy crap.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I'd let's hope it's Vorinclex. It's like
yeah.
because that's the one.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that like any of these being on a chopping block, like could you imagine Ancient Tomb being banned? Like One Ring Tabernacle, I could see Trinisphere wouldn't really affect much in the CDH. Grim Monolith would, that'd be stupid. You'd completely take out bigger commanders. Like,
I think Lion's Eye would be a hit. Like that would hit a lot of stuff.
yeah.
I think Ristic Study would I think it would be a little bit bittersweet at first, but I don't think that it would be as crazy as everybody would think.
I think Ristic Study is a problem because and I was kind of against a dockside ban, but when you think about it, so many decks had to play around dockside.
Oh yeah.
Dockside pretty much was like if you play Tivit sloppily, you've lost the game for everybody. Or you play Tivit pretty good, and they just have to happen to have it in their hand. Like Dockside shut off so many things, and like Ristic Study, like I run Steel Enchantment, Copy Enchantment, and then a clone that can copy any permanent. I run 3 cards in my blue decks and Ristic Study just because Ristic Study is that good, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest spicy takes over the last few months is Steel Enchantment, Copy Enchantment.
Yeah. I mean, if
Like
Ristic Study got banned, it would free up 4 cards in my deck to play around with.
yeah. Yeah, I mean maybe Copy Enchantment just for 2 Smothering Ties. I think that might be a play.
I wouldn't even care about Smothering Tithe anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. That's like if I was running Smothering Tithe, it would clean up 5 cards in my deck.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see and again, I don't want to be that guy that is pointing out cards, but I think Ristic Study would be one of the biggest hits that might not be bad overall.
We
But
could do and this would probably just wrap up the podcast, but like 1 through 5, how upset you would be if each card is banned. So I'll like read the card name.
you can go through it. That sounds cool.
You say your number, I say my number. And I think that would be enough to kind of put a sweet end on the podcast. So starting with white, Draft Magistrate, 1 through 5.
I a 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man.
It slows the game down, and I wouldn't feel like it left a hole at all. Enlightened Tutor, 1 through 5.
Uh I'd say probably a 2 as well.
I'd say 4.
What do you think
It
of
it
4?
would shut down so many
Maybe
decks.
maybe I'm missing what's going on here. What's the number system again?
So 1 would be you wouldn't care, 5 would be like you'd be upset.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now. So Drannith Magistrate, I'd say a 3.
Let's restart because
Yeah, yeah,
that was my bad. So
yeah,
1 through 5, 1 I don't care, 5 I would be upset.
yeah.
So Drath Magistrate,
A 3. I think that it's needed in some of the Esper decks.
I would say 2. It just slows the game down, and like it's needed, but it's a stacks piece, and if a stacks piece gets banned, like meh.
Nah, I guess.
Enlightened Tutor,
Yeah, I'm with you on around a 4.
yeah, it would make white extremely well, not extremely, but much less consistent if it didn't have black, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's a needed tutor.
Yeah, like Rocco, for example, could not run Food Chain Rocco anymore
Hmm.
because you couldn't tutor for Squee and Food Chain. You just have to hope to draw Food Chain.
Yeah, I guess I'm with you. About a 4, maybe even a 5.
Sarah Sanctum,
Eh, um, 2.
I'd say 1. I mean, you didn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
So, like, Smothering Tide.
I would probably like a 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 if it was banned and Ristic Study wasn't. 2 or 3 if both were hit.
Hmm.
Trouble in Pairs.
I don't really think it's even used that much
Yeah,
anymore. So
1.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with it at a 1.
Cyclonic Rift.
I think 4 here
Yeah,
because it's needed.
I think I was not putting Cyclonic Rift in a lot of my decks because I was like, if the game gets that far, like whatever. And like then I went against Sisse and I was like, oh yeah, I need to be able to remove all of this.
Yeah,
Like,
it needs to move now. Yeah.
what was yours for?
The 4 or 5.
4 or 5? Yeah, cool. I would say 4. Expropriate.
2.
Yeah, 1. It would not affect any games I've played in the last year.
I would say these next 2
Yeah.
probably the same.
Force of Will and Fierce Guardianship would be a 5 for
5.
me.
Yeah, they have to be there.
Yeah. Ristic Study.
I think Ristic Study I would be upset that it's changing, but I think overall it would be good for the format. So I'm gonna say a 3.
Yeah.
But
2 for me.
yeah, I mean I'd still be a little bit salty about it.
Thassa's Oracle.
That's gonna change a lot. So
5.
yeah, it's a 5. It's needed.
The more I've played in just kitchen table games and tournament games at like little stores and tournament games at big stores, like there needs to be that card that just goes, wow, this entire field is stupid. I'm just gonna Thassa out. Like you need an eject button, and Thassa is that
Yeah.
eject button. So I would say 5. Urza, Lord High Artificer.
1.
Yeah, would not affect me. Also 1.
And I'm running
You run into it.
I'm running Tibet. Like it's good, but mostly it's just a face check for counter spells.
Mystical Tutor.
Yeah, it's a 5 too.
Oh really? I wouldn't care too much. Like I do like it for getting Tainted Pact, but pretty much if I'm playing blue, I'm playing black, and I just don't want people to see that I'm going and getting Tainted Pact or something like that.
Well, for me, it's also I don't care if it's telegraphed. If it's a telegraphed second part spell. So like if I'm trying to get transmute artifact for my Savines,
Yeah.
to me that would mess up Tivit a lot. And
I guess I'll say 3 because that is if you're running mono blue, you do need some type of a tutor.
I'll drop down to a 4, so I'm not super biased.
I was surprised you were a 5 on mystical tutor.
Yeah.
Jinkataxis Korar.
1.
I'm gonna say 2 just because it is literally in Hashaton right now, and like it's not something that like the good CEDH players have. Like, for example, Comedian doesn't run Jinkataxis or Lion's Eye Diamond, and I'm like, well, I like them, so
I like Jinkataxis. It's just where do you put him at? Because
yeah.
he's a huge
Bolus's Citadel
1.
1.
Yeah, it's good, but no.
I'm gonna put all of these: Demog Tutor, Imperial Seal, and Vampiric Tutor.
At a 5.
5. Yeah, 100%.
Immediately.
Uh, no, like, you know, I'm just like, yep, let's move on.
No, there you need demonic imperial and op agent. Op agent is kind of like Thassa's. It's needed for some of these decks. You need to be punished a
Well,
little.
Op Agent, it's a stacks piece, so I would say 3 or 4 personally. Like
I think
4 at
it's
the
needed.
highest. I would say 3.
I think it's needed, man. Like I think it's needed, and I think that if I could tutor and not have to worry about op agent, that's scary.
I guess since Sisei is a thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
like all of them,
I'm
all of
I'm
them.
like, well, why don't you just counter the tutor? But I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd go as high as a 4, but I will say like I don't have op agent in some of my black decks just because I'm like I'm going fast. So like I don't need a stacks piece if I'm going fast. Like if it gets to that point, I've lost the game. Like
I'm I'm gonna go off onto a itty bitty tangent on op agent. It's needed in also learning some of the stack,
yeah,
because I was playing a game yesterday or the day before where I'm gonna say I'm player 1, 2, 3, whatever. Player 2 taps a crack land, like to go a fetch land, and then player 3 right behind him was like, "Well, I'm gonna fetch on top of it."
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was like, "Whoa, before y'all do
yeah,
anything,
yeah,
op agent."
yeah,
And they were like, "You're gonna opt both of them?" I was like, "I've missed 2 land drops.
yeah, yeah,
Like, this is great for me."
yeah. I mean, if I can op agent 2 land drops and the third person is not ahead, like the one that's the farthest ahead, yes. I mean, especially if you're gonna pop both of them,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just
on top
pop
of each.
pop. Uh, I will also say that like another thing about the stack is I was playing Rocco and I Roccoed for the win. And someone was like op agent. And I was like, cool. Response to op agent. I'm a lightning bolt that op agent. And then they were just like, okay. I was like, now I'm gonna search with Rocco. And they were like, you can't. I op agent on top. And they put their hand out. I was like, where is op agent? It's in your graveyard. Put that hand away.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
go
they're
away.
like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I've learned a lot as far as the stack with op agent, and I think that's needed too.
Yeah, I'll go 3.
Yeah, I'm still a 4.
I think
Yeah.
you're right on 4 or 5, but I'll personally, things that slow the game down make me sad for
This
CDH tournaments.
this next one, I
Tur-
would I would
yeah,
have tears.
Turgrid, God of Fright 1. Don't care.
I'm 5. I
Yeah.
would be crying. No, no,
Uh
definitely a 1.
ad nauseum.
Um, I'd say a 4.
Or it's a signature spell of black. Like it's how black some black decks try to end the game. If you would take ad nauseum out, a lot of viable decks would go away. Like
Well,
Rogsai would go away.
people build for Adnos.
Yeah.
If you even in Moxfield, if y'all don't use
Yeah, there's a
Moxfield,
section in Moxfield for ad nos.
yeah, that
Like,
uses Adnos.
yeah. I was like, what is this card? Ad nauseum? And I was like, oh yeah, that's the real name. Red, Jessica's Will.
Yeah, maybe a 2 or
2.
3.
Yeah. There's so many decks that like I will say it was really good Itali, but like there's so many decks that I'm like I could cast Jessica's Will for 3 and I could get 7 mana. And really what I'm just hoping for is I hit a rock on the second part since my commander's up and I can cast that rock to get the color I need. Underworld Breach.
I would say a 5.
Yeah.
I think that would it, it would hurt a lot of decks.
Yeah.
And realistically, there's better red cards to try to ban than Jessica's will.
Yeah.
I would say, deflecting SWAT would be a 4 or a 5 to me.
Gamble. Like yeah.
Yeah, gamble would be a 5. But as far as like Jessica's will, I say that to say there's red is kind of being underrepresented here.
Yeah, I mean green too, like survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
I would be upset, but I will say survival of the fittest is I don't really want to go off this turn, but I have 2 mana, so like let me set up my next turn. I'd give it a if I could do 2.5, I would, but I'd say 3. Like,
I I bought a Survival of the Fittest, and I still have yet to play it, so it's definitely maybe like a 2.
it's so the reason that I like it is it's good whenever a Grafdigger's Cage comes out, because a lot of your stuff is tutored to field and green, and it shuts you down. It gives you a way around Grafdigger's Cage. That's the only reason I'd be sad. Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger.
Oh, I would cry tears.
Yeah,
It'd be right there with
yeah,
Paragrid.
1. Would not care.
Yeah,
Like,
no, 1 for sure.
Guy's Cradle,
A 5.
5. Yeah,
Green needs it.
yeah. There's not much point to green if you would take Guy's Cradle away. Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy in the multicolor.
I would say probably a 4 or
Yeah.
a 5. Kinnan is solid even in the 99.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running green blue, chances are you have Kinnan in there, which I mean is again another reason he should be banned, where he's kind of an auto include in those colors. But yeah, I would be upset. I'd say 4. Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow.
It'd be a 1. I would feel for people that built Yuriko, but I mean Yuriko, it's really high powered and it wins, but it's not super meta, if that makes sense. So, and if you ban Yuriko, there's not a whole lot. There's no deck that has Yuriko in the 99.
Yeah, I'd say 3 just because I'd be upset that
I'm with you on it.
a CDH viable commander just got banned for really no reason.
And I would say the same with Winota.
Yeah, it's like when it's like it's more of the like, which I mean, no Yuriko or Winota player reached out to me and said condolences for an audio, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
so
but yeah,
so that's y'all's fault.
yeah, that's y'all's fault. But yeah, just knocking a CDH commander out that wasn't a problem would upset me. So I'd say 3, maybe 4 for Yuriko, Winota. Grand Arbiter Augustin, 1. Don't
Yeah.
care.
I
Like,
mean, it's good, but
I have seen it in like Tivit lists, but like bad Tivit lists.
I took it out of my Tivit list.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not doing what I need it to do. There's other things.
Ancient Tomb,
A 5.
5. I'll put these together. So Chrome Mox, Grim Monolith, Lion's Eye Diamond, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault.
I would take Grim off of it.
Okay, I'll take Grim off.
Grim would be lower than the others. So, like, for instance, if we're agreeing that 5 is Mox Diamond, Lion's Eye, Chrome Mox, I would say Grim Monolith would be like a 4. I'd be upset with it, but
I'd say 5 for all of them, which is why I dumped them together, because like we've already lost Mana Vault, we've already or not Mana Crypt, and we've already lost Jeweled Lotus for like no reason. You know, like, well, some reason, but Jeweled Lotus, they probably will not unban. I understand that, but if you hit Grim Monolith on top of that, it's like, do you just not want commanders that are bigger than like 2 or 3 to be in CDH? Like, there's taking those out would kind of be a death sentence to like, I mean, Tivit. You'd look at CDH and go, if it's 4 or higher, it's probably not viable. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Unless
I'll
it's
give
like
you
black.
5.
Yeah.
And I play Tivit, and I was like, the other ones are more important, but I get what you're saying.
What's the, I just like spaced. What's the 1 cost black Dark Ritual?
Dark Writ?
Dark Writ I could see on Game Changers for black.
It's not.
Yeah. Like, take Tegrit off, put Dark Ritual. Because I think Dark Ritual is banned in a lot of formats outside of Commander because it's just way too explosive.
There's the Rite of Flame and stuff too, which Rite of Flame is 2, but
for Commander it's pretty fair because you can't stack multiple in your graveyard. But like Dark Ritual 1 for 3 black is kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, it's good.
You just op agent, like you'd be turn 1, seat 1, just guarantee nobody puts out a sack land. The One Ring,
I would say a 4.
I
mean, One Ring,
2.
Yeah, it's good though, man.
It's auto include in every single deck, so every single person would, pretty much every deck would just take it out and have to figure out another card to put in. My only thing about the One Ring is the protection it gives, because like there's times where I'm like, cool, I'm ready to win, and then somebody one rings, and I'm like, I'd kill everybody else, but then just because I have a infinite combat win, or like
Yeah.
it makes certain styles of win not possible. But like someone could Thassa, someone could ping everybody for like life loss instead of damage. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I like I like the combos One Ring has. I like the Manamo and the Seedborn and I like those things. And
I don't think any deck really doesn't have it in its list if it's a CDH deck. Like I think you could look at top 16, and every top 16 deck would have a One Ring in it.
yeah, I would go up with you as far as like 95%.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not running a One Ring, it's basically just because you don't have it or you don't have a proxy of it.
I
Like,
mean, it's the same to be said about like Mox Diamond too.
yeah. But I mean, Mox Diamond it serves a purpose. One Ring is a forecast artifact that just draws a card and gives you protection. Like it's good, but meh. Like it doesn't define the state of the game outside of just some ways to win aren't good anymore because of the One Ring.
Hmm.
Tabernacle
I've
one.
never played with it.
I
So
had somebody play with it, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, that's not a proxy. That's a signed real one. Oh, okay, you're just trying to show everybody that you have one." And like, cool. Like I'm very impressed. Like I'm still talking about it.
I would argue that I've probably not seen one since then.
Yeah,
Like a real one.
I've never seen a real one before. Like
Yeah,
that was the
that's
only
so
real one I've ever seen. Transfer.
a one.
I'd say 2, just because like there were some decks that I like ran Trinisphere in because it was just good to know that I was turning off free counters like for my turn. Like I could literally sit there and go, okay, you only have 2 mana, everybody only has 2, no one's gonna stop me. But like that was in stacks decks, which I don't know if stacks decks are even possible
I mean,
now.
everybody would just go to Defense Grid or whatever that other one is.
Yeah.
It's similar.
I think Glacial Chasm is the only one we haven't gone over.
Mana Volt. I don't think we
Well, Mana Vault was in that
was
big,
it in the.
yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Glacial Chasm
A one.
one,
I don't
yeah.
care about it.
Never has been a problem in CDH.
I've
Just don't
seen
care.
I've seen it once.
Yeah, and you still found a way around
Yeah,
it. So
still
yeah.
one.
Cool. Well, I think that is good for the Commander bracket system. This was probably just going to be a bonus episode, but the more I looked at it, the more I was just like, this is worth talking about just because it clearly defines CDH as like tournament CDH. So if you're playing CDH, it's with a tournament mindset. And then on top of it, just the soft ban that the game changers were.
I do like the 4 and 5 difference. I didn't
Yeah.
like it at first, but the more we kind of discussed it, the more it changes. Because we used to say,
CDH and TCDH.
yeah,
Yeah.
in tournament CEDH, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And then that's what they did here.
Yeah. I like that the difference between 4 and 5 is literally just mindset too. Like 4 is just, I'm bringing the best version of this deck. There was no limits on what I was building. And 5 is like, I'm building these certain commanders that can win in 80 minutes. Yeah.
And if any of the cards you think that we said wrong or that you think should be on the list, just put it in the comments.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're missing some red ones for sure.
Yeah, and if you guys can put in the comments just one card that you don't think really deserves to be there and what you would replace it with, I'd be really interested to see that. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in again, and again, thank you guys for 3,000 downloads. That's awesome to see. Give you guys a round of applause. All right, well, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you guys.